Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is our daily pitching preview show that we do with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Right now we're going to look at the pitching matchups for Saturday, May 16th. Joe Duffy, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you for having me, Peter.
All right, Joe, I've been noticing that recently favorites have been cashing more than they were in the beginning of the year. Is that changing your results at all at OffshoreInsiders.com?
It's funny that we have a tremendous underdog system, but it expires after 27 games. So we've really jumped off of the underdog system, which we've been making a fortune. We have been picking a lot more favorites as of late, truthfully. Now, that being said, is my units won the last few days as good as it's been all year? No, it hasn't been, but we've been picking more favorites lately.
All right, well, maybe one enormous favorite that you might want to consider recommending to your clients anyway. Felix Hernandez, right, at home, going up against Boston. Felix Hernandez has been awesome. You always get a big price with him, but hey, Seattle's won all 7 of his games so far. So even if they lose this one, if they win 7 out of every 8 games that he starts, even at minus 250, it's worth betting on Seattle. I think it's worth it.
And he's also pitched well to Boston in his career, 8-2 with a 3.06 ERA and 16 starts. Of course, he's pitched pretty well to just about everyone in his career, but Felix Hernandez, one of the best pitchers in baseball, off to one of the best starts ever. He's 6-0 for the first time in his career, and going back to last year in his last 7 decisions, he has got a tiny 1.67 ERA. I mean, it's impossible to not either go with him and maybe even take a long look at the under. Of course, it's going to be a fairly low total, but Felix Hernandez is pitching out of his mind, and you know it's not an aberration. So he's likely to pitch 7-8 innings, give up 0 or 1 runs. Should be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, maybe Boston on the team total under, which once again would probably be about 3, minus 150, minus 170, something like that, but maybe something that has value. Another game where we're not going to see that is Matt Shoemaker and Bud Norris, LA Angels at Baltimore. Both those guys have really been getting hit. Shoemaker in particular has decreased velocity, so that's an indication that it's something fundamentally wrong with him. What do you think? You think both these guys get hit?
Norris is a guy who last year had, what may have been a career year. He had a tremendous year, 15 wins, but he struggled to follow it up, and that's the type of pitcher that I like to fade. But as you said, Shoemaker's really having problems getting that fastball over the plate, so this should be a very high-scoring game. I can see at least 10 runs scored here, so take a long look to see value in the over-under. Neither one of these, as you said, neither one of these pitchers have been pitching well, and neither one seem to be in a very good situation.
Yeah, and my guess is that total will open just at 9. Probably will close at 9.5, get bet up, but I think on the overnights we're going to see a 9 on that one, maybe 9 minus 120 for the over. And then Ryan Vogelsong, you called that one. His last start was excellent again. He had one great start, and I asked you whether or not you thought that was likely to repeat. You said it was more likely than not to repeat, and that did come to pass. Is he going to be able to do it a third time at Cincinnati? Might be a tougher assignment, and Leakey on the other side for Cincinnati has been doing well, a very reliable guy in general, though he can get crushed once in a while. What's your take on Vogelsong? 3 starts ago, I would have said this is a big fade situation for him, but now two consecutive great starts from Ryan Vogelsong. What do you think, Joe?
Well, San Francisco was a team that I had a check mark next to them where I thought that they would get off to a pretty slow start, and all their pitchers included, but I think once the hangover was out of the way and the talent wins out, that they would settle down and they'd become a good team to bet on, and Ryan Vogelsong very much part of that. He's a solid pitcher. He's starting to turn it around, and Mike Leakey, he's an all right pitcher, another one of those guys that's been around a while, but he did throw a ton of pitches, 101 pitches in his last start, so probably an advantage to San Fran. You might as well ride Vogelsong as he starts to rise to his level.
All right, you think so, huh? And then John Danks, actually had a good start in his last start, but, was that a bit of an anomaly? I think so. He probably should be pretty vulnerable against a solid Oakland lineup here. Danks off of 118 pitches. I just don't see that as likely to be a repeat, although maybe you'd say the same thing about him as you said with Vogelsong. My sense is, though, we fade Danks here. What do you think?
Danks still stanks on the road. He's 0-3 on the highway, 7.82 ERA. And a lot of times I do like to, people talk, a lot of handicappers will tell you about the importance of home road splits, but until Danks shows that he can win one on the road, it would seem to be, he'd be a pitcher to fade. But maybe, his next home start, maybe look about riding him.
But in this one, Chavez on the other side is serviceable. Probably Oakland's going to be a good bet there, right?
Yes, I would think so. Danks is not pitching very well, and like I said, he's getting drilled on the road.
All right, that's all I wanted to bring up from Saturday. Joe Duffy, what else would you like to bring to our attention?
John, you talk about a guy who's turned it around. I had said that John Lester was a guy that I was going to think of fading for a while because he was having all those mental issues, but he's clearly recovered. He's got a 1.80 ERA in 3 May starts. Of course, you're not going to get much value, a bad pitcher on a bad team, but Jerome Williams for Philadelphia has been absolutely atrocious. My namesake, Danny Duffy's been giving up the long ball a lot as of late, so he's probably another guy that you might want to fade. And hey, talk about turning it around. Matt Latos, who, I think his ERA was about 2 million after his first 2 starts, and his third start wasn't very good, but he's a solid pitcher, and now all of a sudden he is completely turning around. 1.34 ERA over his last 2 starts, so he's certainly much better than his overall numbers, and I think Latos might be a guy that you want to actually bet on at this point.
So, Atlanta has one of those lineups. They're not going to push anyone, but they're definitely solid enough to take advantage of a guy who's struggling. UC Latos is a guy on the upswing.
Yes, he is definitely a guy on the upswing after he got off to that disastrous start.
Okay, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Thanks so much.